Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Another episode of the Nosebleed Edition is now live. I'm your host as always, and the offseason is definitely my jam. Joined by Jaquan, the casual football fan. What's going on, Jay?
Just being a casual fan, bro. And
That's
I'm sorry I'm late. I just really want to be here.
that's.
I just really didn't want to come. Like,
Now we know you want to be here. We know offseason is your jam too. We know for sure.
no, all season is probably the most fun I have when it comes to being a sports fan. The
Oh,
season is fun, but it's just like it is what it is until it just isn't. Because only really the thing about football season is only one team is ever happy at the end of the season.
pretty much, pretty much.
So like at least the off season, like we're either all mad together or there's a level of optimism generally universally. Like you can like you go from arguing with people that you've been arguing all year to be like, yeah, what if we trade you this guy and this guy, like both of us, and then you magically become friends in the all season until the season start again, and y'all niggas, yeah, hate each other.
Oh, of
So I
course.
mean,
I always work.
all season is always fun.
Always, always. Well, oh man, NFL Combine is well. We thought I'm also the first stop on the tour because we've gone through the Shrine Game, we've gone through the Senior Bowl, HBCU, Legacy Bowl, all that stuff's already happened. So now NFL Combine is starting actually tomorrow, and we are starting off with the defensive linemen and the linebackers. I'm like reading a whole bunch of stuff on Twitter as we're going on. Um, but yeah, NFL Combine starts tomorrow, and I know we're going to get into it as far as overall, what we're looking forward to, and also just from our team standpoint, obviously the Giants have been being a Jets fan. We're going to get into a little bit of a not a biased opinion, but we're looking obviously for our teams for a reason. So,
Right.
so I know one thing that Joe Shane, Giants GM, talked about was, and actually two things that really stood out to me. One was that he said he placed a very big premium on linebackers and D linemen, mostly D linemen. He said he had a big problem with last year as far as the depth towards the end of the season too. Our interior mostly was one of the biggest reasons that we kind of fell short towards the end of the season. So I know Shane has placed a premium on D line, whether that be interior, we're talking about defensive tackles, or on the outside, on the edge, D line or D ends, outside backers, all that. He also, when asked the questions about receivers, he also talked about valuing speed and separation over size. So instead of having that, 6'4", 6'5" guy, like a lot of people, like I saw Mel Kiper just tweeted out something like earlier today that the Giants are going to get Quentin Johnson. I'm just like, how? Like, I don't know how that's going to even be possible. But to me, it kind of factors into something like that, where you're saying like we don't necessarily need the 6'4", 6'5" guy that's going to try to win jump balls all the time. If we can get somebody like a Zay Flowers, who some people are kind of down on because he is 5'9", 5'8" ish, but if the system works and if the guy can separate, which the guy's been known to do, then Shane's gonna obviously take him. So, and they're not going to force anybody; they're going to go straight BPA, and I do believe Shane's going to do that. From the Jets perspective, I asked you earlier before we started and everything, but what is some things that JD is going to be doing over for the Jets?
Well, I mean, everybody knows kind of what the story is with the Jets at this point. Find a veteran quarterback. They still believe in Zach Wilson, according to them. They're obviously built from the trenches out, and just look to improve all around. What is interesting is that after we had the conversation we had earlier, I looked on the Jets app, and there was an interview that he had on the official Jets podcast where he was asked a question about, kind of give me a picture of what you guys like, give me a picture of the draft, like where the high spots and the low spots are. And he went out of his way to highlight tight end, which is interesting because that was after I've heard several other analysts on the Jets podcast really praise this tight end group, saying like this is the best tight end group they've had in years, and there's a depth from like this is the type of year where you can get like a guy with a third round grade in like the fifth, sixth round, and he can be tight end one in a year or two. And Joe Douglas highlighted the fact that like the best pass catchers in this draft may be the tight ends. So that makes me think like that changes things for me at 13. I heard a lot of other analysts talk about like how they're really kind of down on the safeties because the safeties have now turned into just nickels, where
Okay.
you have that Dax Hill star position, and that's mostly what the safeties are this year. You're not going to find any free roaming ball hawks, which is what the Jets actually need in the back end. They don't need another slot guy. I mean, they could use them. Of course, you can use many of those guys. Those guys are like edge rushers at this point. Like, the more you have, the better off you are. But you also need a backside safety, which is something that isn't big in this draft. So in that thinking, I think that 13 may be in play for either a trade back or a situation where we do look at a Dalton Kincaid, who has been compared to like that with the wide receiver type tight ends, with Jeremy Ruckert being more of your wide tight end. You can get a pseudo X guy in a Dalton Kincaid, a guy that can just run routes and kill guys up the middle. And then at that point, it completely changes the way our offense looks because you now have your big pass catcher as your tight end. So now the safeties have to come up. Now you get a guy like Garrett Wilson, where now the defense has to adjust to that tight end. Garrett Wilson's going to have a field day because not only are you going to guard him one-on-one, you're giving him intermediate routes all day. And then you can use a guy like Denzel Mims in like that. Now we don't have to worry about you running routes anymore. It's just we're going to put you in on a go and just go. Like, go. Burn this dude. And you're already 6'4", 6'5", or 6'3", 6'4". You run a 4.3, like, just go. That completely changes the outlook of like, okay, the offense might look different if we can go and get that elite level tight end that's not comparing anybody to Travis Kelce, but that Travis Kelce-esque kind of role where he then becomes your primary pass catcher and he can get open and he can shake DBs and shake linebackers, and that just kind of it messes up opponents' defenses. And so to know that JD's looking at that makes this draft to me far more interesting because I think we have 13, and then the next pick we have is 43. So
Sheesh,
like,
got a long
yeah,
drop.
like there's a drop for us in the second round. So
Yeah, it's rough.
I think you look at it from that standpoint. It's like, well, would I love Peter Skoronski if he's there? Sure. Would I love Paris Jones or I mean Paris Johnson or Broderick Jones there? Sure. But if they're not there, I'm now way more comfortable with them being like, screw it, let's trade back. Let's get more picks. Let's try to get more second round guys because then that means it gives us more roster flexibility with less of a cap hit, which ideally is what you want because then you don't want to have to sit here and draft for need. And with the way, he also gave an update on Brees Hall, ABT, Becton, uh, Max Mitchell. All those guys are coming along great. When they'll be back, I don't know, but I think he almost damn near guaranteed that Becton would be ready to go start of the season, which is we need that, man. Like a healthy Mekhi Becton to me changes the entire complexion of our team and puts us where everyone can say like, oh, they're a fringe playoff team. They're this, they're that. Mekhi Becton is the kind of talent, along with ABT, that stabilizes the line so much that it's like, yeah, they could hurt some people. Like they can mess around, like the team can mess around, win 10, 11 games, and then really, really upset the kind of the status quo that we've been going on with the Bengals, the Bills, that whole hierarchy. Like a team with a healthy Mekhi Becton, a healthy Elijah Vera Tucker, a healthy Brees Hall, with another year of Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson, possibly another pass catcher, it really won't matter who the hell the quarterback is. Like at that point, then it's like, cool, you want a big quarterback, like you want a guy, sure,
Right.
but it doesn't matter as much. So I mean,
Oh,
like a lot of what Joe Douglas said, it's like, okay, it kind of changes the way I look at 13 a lot.
I dig that. I don't. So tomorrow it starts with the defensive linemen and the linebackers, and like I said, as far as the Giants, one thing that we definitely do need to do is invest in the defensive line. Coming from Buffalo Bills, you see how the Bills have built up that defensive line, and with the likes of like Jordan Phillips, Hughes was over there, Rousseau, Ebenezer, Oliver. Like the rotation is crazy. And I mean, even look at like the Philadelphia Eagles. Like the guys had a rotation of people, rotation of D linemen.
Just
And
an
it's
onslaught of like
yeah,
D
it was
linemen,
just
first grade, like Hall of Fame level D linemen, just
you. They would
every
just
play
send
just
their first
murdering
four
you.
in. They would kill you. They'd come out. The next four would come in. They'd kill you, and they would just be fresh, just rolling. So, like I said, I think the one thing that I do notice, and obviously watching the past season and everything, I know that we've invested some pieces into the defensive line, but a lot of people haven't hit for us. Just name a few. Ellerson Smith hasn't really hit for us. O'Shane Jimenez, that's two people that are probably going to be off of the team soon. Justin Ellis, forget him. He was awful. Um, and I mean, even as much as I love Aziz Ojolari, Aziz has been off injured, especially this past season. So outside of a rookie and Kayvon Thibodeau and Dexter Lawrence, which that one side, you still need to kind of fill two pieces. Yeah, you have Cat, but Cat is more of a he hasn't been consistent. He had that 110.5 sack season a year or two ago, and since then he's been here and there. So you want to get somebody that our main thing I want to do is be able to clog that middle on the run. I want our interior D line to really step up next season. And then after that, you find somebody. And I've been really looking into potentially signing a veteran D lineman, a veteran edge that can help not only on the field but also in the locker room and everything. Like somebody like I look at somebody like a Justin Houston, who's a little older but can still get after the quarterback, that can rein KT in and also just be a leader to everybody. So I was looking at somebody maybe like him and that, and then after that, you can still go off and get another DN, or you can move that back to like a second, possibly even the third round, because there are some prospects out there that are able to get. Um, and I know that the main people that everybody is kind of talking about, the top five, if you will, on most people's boards are going to be Will Anderson, Lucas Van Ness, Tyree Wilson, Miles Murphy. And from what I would see as of now, I'd probably put Andre Carter in that fifth spot as of now. From what I've seen, mostly that's what I've seen. Who would you put there? Because you're already making the face. Are you going Foskey? Who are you going with that five spot? Because
Um, just from the people that I kind of follow, I think
mm-hmm.
the Andre Carter thing, people have really cooled on him just because
I
of
I agree.
uh he seems limited. So I mean, I could see him as maybe a seven or an eighth edge there. I really like Will McDonald. Will McDonald I like Nolan Smith. I think is probably you get more flexibility than you do with Andre Carter. Isaiah Foskey, like I just hear his name shooting up the boards. Like Foskey, I just hear all
I
the time.
mean,
Even
to me,
BJ,
I felt like he
honestly,
was good. I feel like he was good, but I felt like it was just you kept getting. It's like always happens. You have that one guy who's good, and it's like okay, we all know Foskey's good, and then you start hearing all these other people getting thrown in, and it's not that Foskey's getting worse; it's that everybody keeps throwing other people above him, and it's like, no,
well,
don't forget about
also
Isaiah Foskey. He's still good.
also with Andre Carter, you have to realize I think he's 25. You get
Something
what I'm
like
saying?
that.
Like he's
Yeah,
also 25, so it's like
it's
mm,
it,
that's why I
to
can't
me.
put him as like the fifth edge. That's why I'm like,
That's
because it's
that's the
like
thing. Like
you line him up.
even in the beginning, I wasn't too big on him because he's what 6'7", and like you said, if he's like 6'5", 6'7" around there, and like you said,
Yeah.
he's already 24, 25 years old, and you have to be able to add weight to that frame. You have to be able to. To me, it's like by the time you invest 3, 4 years in the guy, he's already 25. He's already 29, 30 years old. So
And
it's tough
also
to say that.
you have to take into account that like he's coming from Army. So like
Right.
he
That was the other
still
thing
has
that got
those
me.
obligations to so he can only get but so big to have to lose it in the offseason because he's Army. Like he's legitimately in the Army. So it's like whenever he goes off to serve or if he serves in national or whatever the arrangement is, he's gonna have to look more like a linebacker than an edge. So that's why I'm kind of like, is he a linebacker? Is he an edge? Where's
Uh,
his best position?
My
That's
other
why
thing with him is
I
like
can't look at him as an edge, top 5 or something like
my other thing with him too also is like level of competition. Like you're playing at
yes,
Army, so like
yes.
it's like week in and week out. Like who are you playing every week? Like yeah, you have your game against like Navy and Air Force, and I think you play Notre Dame, but
Mm.
like exactly your level of competition is another thing that's really like
I've not seen an offensive tackle come out of any one of those schools in quite a while. So mm-mm.
exactly like that was my biggest thing. And then also I knew about him was we watched him a lot during the Senior Bowl, and he didn't really do too much to stand
No,
out in Senior Bowl. From
no,
what I remember, he was really getting like I don't want to say dominated, but
he was getting
he was
hemmed up.
kind of
He was getting
he was
hemmed
getting
up. He
he
was
was
getting
getting
hemmed
put in his
up.
place in the Senior Bowl practices.
Yeah, because I mean,
Again,
like again, you got to be able to be Army strong. You got to be thin. You got to be agile. You got to be all that. When you're going against these tree trunk like super heavyweight type people, and that's every team has one or two of those guys.
yeah,
Like you not gonna just. And the thing is too, he doesn't have much of a pass rush plan. That's why I don't think he's a pass rusher. He has the bull rush and maybe a what's the move called?
like a push pull
Fucking
kind of method.
yeah, push pull. I I don't see much of a pass rush plan from him, and you're not gonna push pull, and you're not gonna bull rush any like the worst NFL like lineman. You're not doing that. Like you're like there's a guy who isn't that mobile, and you're not doing that. Like
Yeah, his thing that really stood out to me was that his high pad level. That's what really stood out to me during the Senior
that's
Bowl.
another thing, and he's too slim for that.
Yeah, well, you're like you said, when you're 6'7" and you're just tall and lanky, and you're just trying to use swim move techniques and stuff.
My man,
These
move to
linemen are getting up under you, and
at this point.
they're having their way with you. It
At
wasn't
this point, you
happening.
might as well just work out at tight end because my man, you're not
Like
doing that.
that was my main thing. My question, I know we talked about this earlier too. Another one is Lucas Van Ness, and like my question to him was
Okay,
like I know, yeah, I know you talked about this, and my thing is, and everybody else that's watching, if you know about Lucas Van Ness, feel free to chime in. But to me, like, is he the physical freak? One, is he the physical freak monster that everybody's talking about? Because I only saw him sparingly on TV, but then also like I understand like he didn't play because Iowa runs their system. They run a whole bunch of seniors and stuff. You can explain it, but is he really like legit? I guess is my question. Is he legit? And does that warrant a top 15, top 20 pick for the guy?
I mean the man is built similarly to the Bosa brothers. Like the nigga looks like Hercules. Like honestly, like I don't know how else to kind of describe it. Like the man's built like fucking Hercules.
Mm.
From everything that all the people that I trust and the people that I base my draft analysis on, all of them say the football part of it checks out. It's just that Iowa runs a certain system, so he was only going to get a certain amount of snaps. Everybody in the building knew he was the best pass rusher. Everybody knew. He just left early. Like that's just what it is. He just left early. But I think that's why you have the combine. That's why you have pro days. Because I think his name's going to skyrocket as I'm already hearing a name skyrocket while another name is plummeting. If you've
Hmm.
paid any attention to social media in the last like 2 hours, you understand what I mean. Jalen Carter's name's probably not going to be as hot. But what I'm hearing is Tyree Wilson. I think he went to A&M.
He went to Texas
Um,
Tech.
Texas Tech. Excuse me. My bad, y'all. These too many damn schools to keep up with in Texas. You know, niggas got 30 schools for every like 2 miles. Um, he's really impressing a lot of front office people. It's not out of the realm of possibility that he may or may not be the first defensive player taken. Like he might be this year's Trayvon Walker, just because of he's gifted physically. He's got more of a size than Will Anderson does. Maybe not the
Hmm.
production, but he has the look, he has the tools, and he's already impressing people in interviews. So you put that combination together along with a guy like Carter, who now this situation only emphasizes his character concern. He's clearly the best player far and away in this draft. It's a situation where like he's another guy that's probably going to go earlier than we think.
Carter?
No,
Not Carter.
Tyree
Oh,
Wilson.
Tyree Wilson.
Yeah.
You think he's better than Will Anderson?
I don't do. Here's the thing. It's not whether I think he's better or not. It's with the NFL draft, it's tools, measurables, and what's between the ears, the interviews. True. So the production doesn't actually matter. And that's the biggest thing I've noticed, like recently, the last couple of drafts. Production only matters but so much. And what's on the tape only matters but so much. Because again, Will Anderson checks all the boxes. He's a Nick Saban guy. He played at Alabama. He had but again, he also fell off a little bit last season. But the season before was so unreal that there was no way you expected him to match that production. But he's also slightly undersized. He's also slightly like there are more knocks against him than there is Tyree Wilson. And he's only staying this high because of production. Which how it should be, but we all know how the draft works. Production at some point doesn't matter. Like unless you're
going to fall in love with who they're going to fall in love with.
Position, it doesn't matter. Like as a corner, doesn't matter. As a linebacker, doesn't matter. As a defensive player, it doesn't. Your production does not matter. It gets you in the door, but once you're in the door, your look, your measurables, and how you interview is really what matters. Because all coaches are going to see is what can we make him in the NFL. It doesn't matter what you've done. That's cute. That's great. But what can you do for us? Versus offensive players. And it's like the production usually equals what you're going to give me in the NFL because the transition, you can usually make the transition as a skill player, whether you're going to give me more or less. It's more about like, okay, how is your athleticism matched up with NFL corners or NFL linebackers, blah, blah, blah. With defensive players, it's like, I don't need you to be able to play the game a certain way. I just need you to be able to move around the field the way I need you to so I can teach you how to play the game I want you to play.
I think that teams, GMs and coaches are going to just like, it's like last year when you said with Walker, teams are going to fall in love with who they're going to fall in love with. Yep. And then based on that, they're going to take who they're going to want to take, regardless of who it is. Like, because for the longest time last year, we were not talking about Walker being the number one pick. And then out of nowhere, the whole Jacksonville thing, it just took steam and it just steamrolled. And then by the night, we were really sitting here like, yo, is Walker really going to go first? Like, is this really going to happen? And sure enough, he did.
And think about it.
You may be right.
It was when he ran at the combine. It's when he had his combine workout. That's when everything changed for him. It's like, even
and his pro day only improved on it.
Think about it. Everybody after him. Oh, but did you see Walker? Oh my gosh, but Trayvon Walker's workout. Oh, that's all you kept hearing. That's like, okay. And then you go to the pro day and you talk to the people in Georgia, and then it's this kid's a great character kid. He's a hard worker. He's this, he's that. Which I'm like, y'all should have known about this already. Like, that's not new news. Like all that stuff was stuff that you.
That Georgia team was just ridiculous because it's like it's to be fair, it's what they were talking about. Some guy's gonna be the odd man out. Somebody's gonna be the one who doesn't put up the 12 sacks because you sat up here and you had Nakobe Dean, you had Ringo, you had Stokes, you had Nolan Smith, you had
Quay Walker,
you had like Channing Tindall, Quay Walker, like you had people all across that defense. So it's one person out of 11 is going to not get every tackle and every sack. It happened to be Trayvon Walker, but the guy was a dog in his own right. And then he
not even just Trayvon Walker. It happened to be Jermaine Johnson too, which is why he transferred. And it's like, true. Then the big story was, why did he transfer? Could he not cut it on that team? It's like, no, you're just not getting the reps. And then he goes and wins ACC Defensive Player of the Year the next year. So it's like, imagine the product. And then the conversation was, if that happened with Jermaine Johnson, imagine Trayvon Walker if he would have went to another school. That's what we have to project because his production is going to be so great when he's the only guy. Didn't turn out that way, but, that's why I think, like, don't be shocked that Tyree Wilson goes as
Well,
high as first defense. I would say first non-quarterback off the board,
we'll see. Now
because
my now
I
my
don't
thing
think he'll
after
go
that,
one. I don't think he'll go one,
no.
but
But
could
with
he
the
go
news
three?
of Jalen Carter potentially
Yeah,
coming
you know what I'm
out,
saying? Like, could he go two? You
I
know,
I don't
with
know.
D'Amico
It,
Ryan's, like, you kind of got to look at it like, you know,
it's gonna be Tyree versus Will, and you'll see.
yeah.
Unless something happens with the whole Jalen Carter situation, and they move on from it, and he gets out
Well,
of it or whatever.
here's the
But
thing though. There was already character concerns. Like, there
yeah,
was
I know.
already stuff, and then this
Yeah,
pops, and it's like,
yeah. It was
even if
already
you
like
beat this, it's like now everything I'm
there's
looking like,
too
all right,
much surrounding you.
yeah, like you got too much noise around you, my man's like,
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if Jalen Carter drops to like 7, 8, 9, like that kind of, like, honestly, if he drops to 6, it wouldn't shock me. It'd be great for Detroit, but like, you know what I'm
things
saying? Like
that it could
a
happen
team
because
like Detroit, I could see taking him because they take guys like that and they have the type of culture that they can insulate him. Where it's like, listen, you've
yeah,
done all this stupid stuff before, but Dan Campbell's gonna rein him in, and then you're gonna have Aiden Hudson. Like, you're gonna have guys
Dan
to
Campbell
put
definitely
around
is the
him.
coach to do that too.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, he can't. Like, already, I'm looking at Jalen Carter. Like, you can't go to every team. Like, every team, you can't survive in every market, every city. Like,
Nah,
even Houston, you could get into too much.
yeah, that's
Detroit
true.
is bad enough where, like, yeah, you could get into stuff, but the team's gonna want to protect you. Like,
Yeah,
you
we'll
can't go
keep
to
you around
Vegas.
certain places of Detroit and just you stay out of certain
Yeah.
areas. Yeah, I
So
mean,
you know what
so
I'm saying? Like,
looking
I,
at
I could see him dropping.
I'm looking at like these next. My thing is like, so we know those guys. My thing for the edge rushers, because we're gonna go edge and then interior, then linebacker. But like my thing is the next batch of guys is what I really want to know about, because again, if you're the Giants or the Jets or any other team, and you're looking at some type of edge rusher or something like that, but you don't want to take them, or if you don't know if your team goes to take an edge rusher first round, like I'm trying to figure out like that next batch of guys, like who the next 5 to 10 people. And I mean, I put down names and I put down like Keon White, the edge from Georgia Tech, who admittedly I don't know too much about. Did some reading on him this morning.
I've heard him. Somebody mentioned him at 13. So, like, he's another name that's rising. He's another name
See,
that,
I
you get
want
what
to
I'm
see how
saying?
this kid works out, because I believe I read earlier that he had played tight end at another school and then he
Mm-hmm.
transferred to Georgia Tech. So he's only got like a year, I believe, under his belt as a DN, and he's a big
Raw.
project. They're saying, but they're
Yeah.
saying the kid
Raw.
ceiling is huge. So
Yeah.
then you got Will McDonald from Iowa State.
Who's,
Um,
I've heard his burst and bend is just stupid.
then you got Derek Hall from Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you got
You got
Foskey, who we
Foskey.
who we talked about. Then
You
you
got
got
Nolan.
Nolan Smith. You got Mike Morris from Nolan Smith from Georgia, Mike Morris from Michigan, and BJ Ojolari, younger brother of BJ of Aziz Ojolari from the Giants. BJ's from LSU.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we talked about it earlier. I put another name down, but I'm gonna get to him in a second. But when we talked about it earlier, like before he came on, Mike Morris, he came out and said that Michigan is pass rusher U now. It was a very interesting statement. And like we said, you had Aiden Hutchinson, you had Quiddy Pay, you had David Ojabo, but pass rush you, Michigan,
I'm sorry. Is Michigan located in the South? Because last time I checked, SEC got them boys on lock. Like, yo, edge rushes is coming from down south, brother. Sorry, you're not going to the Great White North to. We're not going over the North Wall to find an edge rusher. We're not doing that.
now I mean Aiden Hutchinson have himself a season. I'll give him that much.
Aiden Hutchinson
But
is special.
oh
But to
yeah,
call yourself pass rush you, it's like there has to be a level of consistent production at that level. Like, Quiddy Pay took a couple of years. Quiddy Pay is a pretty good pass rusher now, but it took him a while. We still don't know about David Ajabo, you know? Then it's this dude. Like, you still need another 3 drafts before you can have that conversation.
yeah, that's true. I mean,
That's
I
why I'm
like
like,
Mike
it's funny
Morris.
to me. It's just, it's too funny.
I
It's too
like
silly.
him, but like I'm not seeing that guy in the first round. Like
No,
I'm not even considering him in the first round.
no.
I like BJ Ojolari.
I'm not
Um,
considering most of these guys. Like
no,
outside of
and that's what
Keon
I'm
White, most of these
saying.
guys to
Like,
me are day two guys.
and that's what I'm saying. My thing is like, where do these guys fit? And do they fit in that second to like fourth round range? That's where I'm trying to figure out. Like, where do these next batch of 5 or 6 guys really fit in the scheme of where you're going to get drafted? Because like they're not going to be first round picks unless you say like Keon White,
Well,
somebody falls in love with this kid's athleticism. But
well, here's the thing. You also have to look at, like, Joe Shane told you the answer. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if he was referring to the Giants specifically when he said he was upset about the lack of depth at the D line and edge and all that, but that's something I've heard universally about this class. Like, there are tiers, and like the top tier isn't
definitely,
fantastic. Like, there's Will Anderson, and then there's everybody else. Like, there's Jalen Carter, and then there's everybody else.
I'd say Will
You know what I'm saying?
Anderson
Like,
and Tyree Wilson, maybe Murphy.
well,
I don't
now
know.
Tyree Wilson, but I mean, like, for the longest time it was Will Anderson, and
Oh yeah, oh
there's
yeah,
Jalen Carter, and then there's you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I think a lot of, you have to take it from a standpoint of, regardless to what the grade you have on these guys, you have to just guess with positional importance and the value put on the edge and the defensive line. All of these guys are going to go earlier than where you think they should go. So you have to look at it from a standpoint of, I think some of these guys can sneak into the first round if there's a run on corner. Like, if there's a run on corner and there's a run on offensive tackle, the way I think there's going to be, who else are you going to take? And if it all depends on how much, like, there's this big now buzz about the tight end class. But we all know when there's good depth, that position gets pushed down. Because it's like, oh, I don't have to get one. I can get one in the second and third round and get great value on it. Cool. If the tight ends get pushed down, then that means the edge has got to get pushed up. Because it's like, all right, what's my position of value? Left tackle, okay, I'm good. Not gonna take quarterback. All right, move to defense. My edge. Oh, there's the top edge. Boom, I'm gonna take him. Is it too early? Sure, but I'm gonna take him. You know what I'm saying? So, like, that's when you have those guys that can go, like, you have them graded at, like, your 52nd best player can go 34th type situation, which is what I think will happen. Like, I can see BJ going early second round. I can see, Will McDonald going early second round. I can see Derek Hall going mid second round. You know what I'm saying? Like, Mike Morris, I haven't heard too much about. So maybe like late second, early third, maybe. He might be like an early third round pick. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like those guys are going to go earlier than we think, just because everyone's so focused on stopping the juggernauts that now you
Mm-hmm.
need guys that can get to the quarterback, and you get guys that can stop these all-star receivers. So those guys are going to be held at a premium, because the other talent that may be more talented, the position groups that they're in are so deep that I can wait on these guys, so that when I'm done with my edges and the well-worns draw on the edges and the corners and, even the receivers to a degree, I was like, okay, now I can go get a tight end. And there's going to be so many guys there that's like, oh, I'm picking in the fourth round. This guy should win early second. Oh, beautiful. Great value for me. That means I don't have to pay him what he's worth until, his contract runs out.
This is a very deep tight end class. Just like it, this is going to be a
It's
big tight
and
end
it's
class.
and the thing what I like about it is you're getting both type of tight ends. So it's like, what do you actually like? If you're a team that has like a pass catching tight end already, you can get your typical tight end that's going to come in and block for you. You can get the guys that can be a sixth or seventh, like in a jumbo package, offensive tackle that can then go out and pass catch you. Like, there are those guys. You
Mm-hmm.
got the guys that are your Gronks, that are just, your 50-50 ball guys. You got your Travis Kelce's that are going to just out route all the linebackers and too big for the safeties and stuff. Like, you have everything you want in this draft. So, like,
Yeah,
if
you definitely
you
have
have a
every
hole at
pick
tight
of what you
end,
could possibly get.
yeah, like,
Definitely.
even if you don't have a hole at tight end, but you just are like the Jets where you're real regular at tight end, but you're not special, you can go and get one
Mm-hmm.
guy and make that group special. And you can get that guy in the fourth round, where it's like, I don't have to draft Michael Mayer. I don't have to draft Dalton Kincaid if I don't want to. I can go and get another
Nah,
guy.
they're still Payne Durham, who I really
Yeah.
like. There's a guy Kuntz, I forget his last name, first name, I think Jack. You got Sam Laporta. You got
Mm-hmm.
Luke Musgrave. Like you got tight ends all up and down this draft board, and they're all going to be. I think it
I
was like a
think.
couple of years ago. There was a couple that were really special that came out. They were, like I think, like the kid that Josiah, I think Degora, the tight end from the
Mm-hmm.
Packers. I think he's like the number 2 tight end. He went in like the fifth, sixth round. He had like a second, third round grade. Like
DJ listed on his conference call podcast listed 11 tight ends that he has first and second round grades on.
jeez.
11. That makes no. Those are just people off the top of his head. He wasn't even looking at his list.
And you're gonna
Like
get
that's
and out of those
stupid.
11, you're gonna see maybe one, two, or three go in the first round, which means you're
Yeah,
gonna
like
have
this, it may be high and be 3, and then there's still 9 other guys left on day 2.
right. Like now, like I said,
And
that's
that's
just off
only
the
the
top of
ones
my
you
head.
remember because there could be more. And then you get the
I only
workout warrior.
the only three I could probably see as of now, going in the first round are Mayer, probably Darnell Washington, and
And Dalton
Kincaid.
Kincaid. Yep.
As of now, those are those three. Like you said, somebody could pull up in the combine and completely light it up and be that fourth guy out of nowhere, like Luke
And then you,
Musgrave,
you also
like
have to
number
take into
4.
account the receiver converts because then there's going to be a guy that's going to run a 4.6, but is 6'5", 6'6", lanky, and they're like, ooh, we could put some weight on this guy. Like he could turn into like a Darren Waller. There's always those guys. There's always those guys. So
Very
it's like
true.
you got to also put that into play, and it's just like this tight end class is just stupid.
Getting back to these ends, one guy that I really like is Thule.
Mm-hmm.
Thule. I'm not even going to attempt his
Two
last
to
name.
two two to two. Yeah,
Yeah, you
I
know
know
what
who
I'm
you're
talking
talking.
about. Tuli is an in from USC. Now my thing with him is that Tuli comes in at about 290. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
wondering, and USC did move him inside and move him outside, and I know there's some scheme versatility there. I'm wondering if Tuli's going to make the move inside next year. If they're going to just slap 10, 15 pounds on the kid and play him at the D tackle at 300, 305, or does he drop 5, or does he just stay at 290 and just kind of tone it up and be an in? So I have that question about him.
I think
Um,
I don't think you have to choose. That's the
no,
beautiful part about the scheme versatility because I think, like you said, they can turn that 290 into an NFL 290 and just
right.
use him as a chess piece.
That's why I like him. I like his versatility at USC, and I think he has that almost that cat that Leo move inside and outside, that versatility that he could play
The
in and
the
he
the
could play
like
that at D tackle.
the John Franklin Myers effect.
Right. And then another kid that I really like is this kid. I don't know if you've heard of him, but Caleb Murphy out of Ferris State. This kid was putting up
I've heard the
like
name. I haven't looked. I haven't seen him.
the
I haven't seen
kid.
a lot of them, but I've heard the name.
I believe I forget where he transferred from. It was on top of my head. Off the top of my head, I can't remember though. But he's played at Ferris State. If you go Google him or Google his stats, it's like he's playing in like Madden. It's like you're playing Madden
Oh,
on
that's the
rookie.
guy that held the sack record this year. That's the kid that
Yes,
got the sack record. See, I was
yes.
like, I know I heard the name before.
The kid
Stupid.
had
His stats are
the kid had like
stupid.
22 sacks and like 39 tackles for loss this year.
Yeah, like
Like
it's stupid. It's it
39
it.
tackles for loss in a season. Like I just want to see how the kid tests because he played well in the Shrine Bowl. And Calvin, I see your question. I'm gonna get you in a second. Um, yeah, he played dynamic in the Shrine Bowl, and I just want to see what he does. He got like the NFL Draft Combine invite. I was hoping he would get like a Senior Bowl invite based off how he lit up the
Mhm.
Shrine Bowl, but he didn't. So I'm interested to see what he does. Uh, Calvin, I'm going to kick that back to you in a second. But Calvin, your question is, who can the Giants draft that's going to help them move the needle? And to me, it all depends on who the Giants bring back free agent wise. First off, I want to see what they do. There's a report came out. I don't know if it's real or not, but it's one of those rumor sources that actually seem pretty reliable. It says that the Giants and Saquon are nearing a deal. They're getting closer on a deal.
I've heard that.
So you saw it too, right? It came
I've
out
heard
maybe
that.
like 3 or 4 hours ago at this point. So
No, I heard
I
it
would love
before that.
Saquon back. Oh, you did?
I've heard it since like they started talking about like like once the like around like the Super Bowl week was when I kind of heard it. They were like they're closer in number than they are with DJ because like everybody was
Okay.
laughing when DJ was talking about he won 45 million. What?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not even gonna get into all that.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think once we see what happens with DJ and Saquon, hopefully they're both back at a reasonable number. Um, as much as I would like to keep investing in the offensive line, I believe we could push that back unless the right person falls to us. Like if Skoronski somehow falls to 25, that's almost like I can't pass him, but it's not going to happen. I'm aware of that. I'm fully aware of that. I'm fully aware of
Nigga,
that.
he ain't
If
getting
that
past
dude somehow, if
15.
he somehow
I'm
finds
talking
his
about
way
he
to
ain't getting past
25,
15.
if he somehow finds his way to 25, I would not be mad if we picked him up, slide him inside as your guard, and you have an all-pro guard for the next 10, 15 years. Other than that, I am looking at receivers, and I'm looking at, and I never want to go receiver that much in the draft. I really don't like, unless we were really in dire need. And this season to me really proved that we do need somebody. So I mean,
Well, here,
I'm looking at receiver versus the defensive line. Like
uh,
that's really what I'm looking at. Like,
I think honestly, it's safe to say that this is also another class that's like there's depth, but there isn't the height. Like there
yeah,
isn't
yeah,
the
I know.
top of the
There's
card
no
talent. So like
no.
25, I wouldn't even think about receiver at 25. If I'm being real with you, this is probably contrary for us to say out loud, but like neither one of our teams really need to go receiver
I,
early.
I'm I'm looking at because I don't believe the thing is the only reason that I'm thinking of that also is because based on Shane's press conference and just in general what he's been doing, he's been going BPA. He's going to say, "I'm going BPA the entire time." So if we need, I understand we may need. I know people have been looking at like an Osiris Torrance, looking like, "Oh, you might get a guard," blah blah, whatever. I don't think Shane's going to reach on a guard at 25. I don't think he's
I
going to
don't
do that.
think I
I
don't
don't.
think
I don't.
Cyrus Torrance is a reach at 25.
I
I
don't
don't.
believe personally. I don't believe personally that we're going to go after an offensive lineman in the first round, unless maybe Schmitz is there. I don't think. I don't see us doing it.
Schmitz is not good from what I hear, unless y'all are the ones that just do the Patriots thing and take him that early. Schmitz's name, I maybe not so early second. Like if you guys trade back and it's like I want to get the guy before he hits the second round, I want the 5th year option.
Well,
Cool,
I mean,
I can
you
see
didn't
it.
hear. I mean, I'm surprised you didn't hear that though, because Daniel Jeremiah said that Schmitz is going to go the top half of the first round, according to him, especially after the Senior Bowl. Yeah,
Jesus, that I
especially
didn't
after
hear.
the Senior Bowl,
I
he
heard top
said,
half of the second. I don't know about top half
"Nah."
of the first.
Especially after the Senior Bowl, he said, "I wouldn't be surprised if Schmitz goes in the top 15 to 20 picks of the draft." So I mean, I wouldn't like. I still wouldn't be my pick personally. Me personally, I'm looking at receiver. I'm looking at edge, and I probably would throw a corner in there. Linebacker, I like, but I have to know who's there. Now, like if the Trenton Simpson falls, I would take it.
If a
I'd be
Drew Sanders
happy.
is there and y'all don't run up to the podium, I will shoot somebody in the foot.
Yeah, like I like that kid. I like the kid, but I don't know. Like I have to see more of the kid. Obviously he's gonna add weight. He's gonna put a better build up his frame in the NFL. I understand that. I'm just not getting my hopes up because yes, it's a new regime and everything. But the last time the Giants took a first round linebacker was like Carl Banks.
No,
Right?
no, I'm
Like,
not talking about in the first round. I'm talking about second round. Like if Drew
oh, Drew
Sanders is
Saunders.
there, that's what I'm talking.
I
I'm
don't
not
think
talking
he's
about
gonna
first
be
round.
there in the
No, what?
second.
What?
I
No,
don't think he's gonna be there in the second.
I don't think so either. But that's what I'm saying. That's the type of player. Like if you can catch him in the second, or like y'all are in range to like trade up to get him in the second. Like that's the kind of second round pick where I'm like, okay, y'all might be battling something. At 25,
Yeah, like
it wouldn't surprise me
I
if a
think it'll
linebacker didn't
happen.
go in the
I
first
think
round this
somebody will
year.
take him first round. Somebody's gonna love that kid. I don't know. It
I
may be
don't
us.
know, man.
It may be us, but I see him going first round. I think somebody's gonna be that team. Be
It
like, we
really
love this
depends on
kid.
if
We're
you
gonna
got a
go get
team
him.
that values linebacker.
Very
I
true.
really think
Very
your team
true.
has to value linebacker like that. I don't see a lot of.
Now,
I see a lot more teams valuing like that nickel safety over a linebacker, over
I
extra
think
linebacker.
I think if anything, our lack of linebacker play really proved that we need linebackers. So I could like I'm not gonna lie when I sit here and say like I wouldn't be surprised if we go up and get a linebacker. Like I said, if
I
Trent
mean, y'all
Simpson
might
is
have y'all
there,
pick at
I'll take
25. Y'all
him.
probably will have y'all pick of the linebackers. Honestly,
It's gonna come down to I think one like I said, if Trenton is there. I wouldn't be mad at Trenton. Do I see us taking him? Maybe. When I'm looking at receivers, the name everybody keeps hearing is Zay Flowers. So That's the one
I
guy I
seen
keep
the weight he
hearing.
put on. I'm
Oh
like,
yeah, oh yeah.
he put
The
on
kid's
a
working. He went from
real
what
15
170 to
pounds of muscle. Like
185,
that 15,
130. Yeah, the kid was
that's a
working. So
real
I mean,
15. Like,
oh yeah,
okay.
you can
Like,
see
I'm
it
like,
in
all
his
right.
frame.
Yeah. Like,
And
okay. And he gives you what you wanted. I'm not gonna say he doesn't give you the upside of Kadarius Toney, but he gives you that type of receiver, the route runner, the guy that you can run gadget plays with, yada yada yada, blah blah blah, without
hmm
the character issues.
that's really what I see from us. Like Calvin, yeah, I think the Giants are gonna either go like we'll take a second rounder. It's gonna be a first or second round receiver in my opinion. That's what I see from us this year. If I
I just don't
had
want the
to
just receiver. I don't trust it. I think
take a
now I
receiver,
truly think the second round. I think the second round receiver is cursed. I think second round receiver is cursed. Like at this point, like if we don't take a first round receiver or a third round receiver, like I don't want to see them touch a receiver in the second round. No, I don't care if we lose
we'll
out.
see. My only other
No, like,
questions,
the Jets are legitimately cursed. I don't want them touching a receiver in the second round. Like
the
no,
only things I'm
no.
looking at, only thing I'm looking at, and like I said, like I want the Giants to invest in early and often in the defensive line. And as far as the ends
I
go,
think if Brian Brzee drops to you guys, really?
one, I don't see it happening. Two, like I understand when we talk again, we talk about this off camera. Like last year, you want to probably throw that away. It's a wash. Like what happened to him and everything. I get it. I don't know. I saw him play this past season though. Like I think he's talented, but I just don't. I don't see. I just don't see it happening. So that's something that I'm going to put in my head. I don't even see this guy dropping past. I don't know, 10 to 15. I'm not even going to go into the whole
Okay,
hypothetical. He dropped
okay,
25. Not putting that in my head.
okay.
Um, the only things I'm looking at are like again, like I want to know where we're going to go. Like or where, like I said, like I was saying before, the Giants are willing to invest early and often into the edge rushers and everything else. So now I'm sitting here. What up, June? What up? Um, now I'm sitting here. Now, if we go, like I said, receiver, corner, wherever it may be in the first couple rounds, I'm looking at mid to late round edges. And some of the names I put down, I put down Nick Herbig, who we were talking about off camera before we started.
Mm-hmm.
Isaiah Land is a very interesting one out of Florida A&M because Isaiah Land was playing edge, and then you went into the Senior Bowl and he was playing middle backer, and he actually did very well. Yeah, you didn't see that? Yeah,
Bro, I
he
missed all of that because of work. So don't.
he did pretty well middle backer, and then it caught the attention of a lot of people. Then you got Byron Young, edge out of Tennessee, Elijah McGuire out of Missouri, Nick Hampton, who I've heard is anywhere from an edge to an outside backer type.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got Yaya Diaby out of Louisville, Villamy Fajoko out of San Jose State, Travis Incoom out of Central Michigan, Habakkuk Baldonado out of Pittsburgh, and Tyrus Wheat out of Mississippi State. These are the guys that those are the guys I'm most interested in seeing work out. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what you're going to get out of your top 5 to top 8, whatever. It's the rest of the guys where I'm like, okay, I can take you. I'm interested in you, but in like third, fourth, fifth, sixth round. Like, that's what I'm interested in you in. That's what I really want to see. Like, if we can get a good injection of young pass rush that can get after the quarterback, I don't have to put a first round pick on you. That's what I'm going to be happiest. Now, like, I don't, I want to see those guys work out. I'm more interested in those guys than anything. And also, like I said, I'm not investing time into Will Anderson like that because, to be honest, he's not going to be that at 25. So I'm
No,
not worried about Will Anderson. The guy's going
no,
to be down in the top 5.
no.
Like, I'm worried about the people that I can get later on in the draft. That people that I can get second, third, fourth. I don't have to even blink. I'm gonna be like, okay, you're gonna be there in the fifth round. I'm not worried about you. But if I could pull a fourth, fifth rounder in and get some type of production out of him, then I'm hitting on my picks.
Right.
So, is there anybody else that you were interested in as far as this edge group?
See, here's my thing: is I didn't even look at Edge this year just because I'm looking at the fact
True.
of like, do we keep Carl Lawson? Do we restructure him? At this point, I'm more concerned with okay, what's the next step for Michael Clemens and JJ? Like, do we resign Huff? Like, I adding to the edge class, like you said, is fourth, fifth round territory where like, okay, we need depth. Who can
Mm-hmm.
kind of come in, help on special teams, help us on that guy? Like who's a gem that we can kind of find in the middle? I haven't really invested much time, so I don't really have much to say outside of like the top guys. Like I don't know.
Got it. Well, I mean, moving on to the interior group. The interior group is also very interesting to me. Because to me, there's three main people that stand out for all three different reasons. You got Jalen Carter out of Georgia, who we talked about.
I know.
Hopefully, if he can, you know, we'll see what happens with him. I'm gonna put it like that. We'll see what happens with him. Jude and Calvin, if you're still watching, let us know your thoughts on as far as like the Giants and the Bengals, what they're talking about draft insight too. Um, Second guy, I'm really intrigued to see is Kalijah Cansey. Um, and I'm interested in him because of the kid's size. He's 6 feet
Yeah,
tall, playing D tackle, 6 foot 275.
we'll
And he's a
see. We'll see if he's 6 feet
right,
tall because
right,
there's
right.
questions of if he's six
There's
feet tall.
6 feet in cleats, where you get that extra inch or two. Like
Yeah,
if you're standing barefoot on the floor, you might be measuring at 5'10". Like
yeah,
at
yeah.
5'10", 275 D tackle. Like I've seen some clips and I was just like, wow, okay, this kid's like
Nah, he
he
does work.
obviously he's getting up under some guards and
Yeah, no,
stuff,
he
but
does
like
work. He does work. Kalijah Cansey, there's to me, I don't question the talent. It's just
no,
can the measurables survive in the league where you got, you know, 6'4" to 6'7", 6'8", 6'9" defensive offensive
right,
tackles. Like that's
like
really what it
like
is.
right. If you're playing that D tackle role, I mean, it's cool that you're sitting up here like you can get up on people, but when you have 7 to 8 to 9 year NFL vets at guard that are playing just as low as you, that like, and you're gonna play at 275 at D tackle, like you might get
Yeah.
tossed around a little bit, like, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like now, if you're now, like we said, if you measure in at 5'10" and they want to put 15 to 20 pounds on you, now you're talking about 5'10", 295 pound D tackle. Sounds a little crazy to me. Like,
Yeah,
so,
it's something that I can only imagine someone like Sean McVay trying. Like it's some mad scientist type
yeah,
energy
like,
where I'm like, I don't know any I don't know a lot, of guys that are gonna invest like substantial draft capital in that. Like if
and
he
I mean,
measures in small, like I could maybe see somebody taking a flyer on in the fifth round because he is
but
so
that's
talented.
but see, that's the crazy thing is everybody like you see all these mocks where they have him going first round.
Because
Like,
the talent is that's what I'm saying. The
yeah, the
talent isn't
talent,
the question.
no, the talent's there. You could see it on the highlights, but
Like
like,
he's a first round talent, but
right?
you can't teach size. Like you can't.
No,
Sometimes size just can't be overcome. That's like me trying to go in there and play edge. Like yeah, I'm like 5'10", 200, but I'm not. I'm not getting around no offensive tackle. Like I don't care
that's
how
what I'm saying.
twitched up
I'm like,
I am.
yo, you're six. Like, do you go if you take this man who's six, who right now on paper is listed at 6 foot 275? Do you put weight on this guy and keep him at D tackle? Do you make him drop 25 pounds and play like a small box
Edge.
linebacker,
Yeah,
edge, like
like
blitz specialist? What do you do? And then based on what you do, where again, like you said, where do you take this guy?
yeah, like where do
So
you value that role? Like I don't know.
like that was my main thing with him. Then the third guy I really have been watching is Siaki Ika, and
Bro, he is
kid,
the enigma of this draft.
like that's somebody that I would love if the Giants took and paired him with Dexter Lawrence. But I need to see what he can do in the combine. I need to see it because
I think
his
too.
his tape
It's
is good, but not great this
yeah.
year.
So you kind of
And
gotta.
it's like,
I think it's you gotta. The sucky part is that we don't get to hear the interviews because I think Siaki Ika is gonna make or break his draft stock in those interviews. Like the evaluation in that aspect is all he really needs to focus on because the physical tools are there. Like the
right.
physical tools are stupid. Like it doesn't make sense. But it's the other stuff. It's the what's between the ears. Like, how is it that you're this gifted physically and your production is what it is? It
Like,
doesn't correlate.
now I get it. Like, I kind of get it as to the point of maybe you're just like the nose guard. Maybe you're just like the run stuffer who eats double, maybe even triple teams that allows the other D tackle to work one on one. So maybe I get it from that standpoint. But then it's like, again, like we were saying,
Where do you
but then
value that
what?
type
Yeah,
of
where
nose tackle anymore?
exactly,
Like that guy is not valued anymore.
exactly,
Like
exactly.
that's a third round guy.
Like where do you take that guy who's just going to be a nose guard that's just going to eat up double teams? Where do
Like
you
to
take
me,
him?
it starts in the third. Like that's what, because think about it. You got the tackle. I think it was Wyatt last year from Georgia. Went in like the third
Mm,
round to like the
yeah,
Packers,
yeah,
because that's essentially all he did. Like that was his role in Georgia.
Georgia.
The list started at the third round, and I'm like, I'm not trying to count nobody pennies, but for
Yeah,
the guy
that's
playing next
money,
to you, the first overall pick, and you getting picked in the third round, my boy, like, and you have more production, like
right?
that's a lot of change that you ain't getting back, bro. Like you
Right.
may be in a better situation, but that paper not stacking the same way.
And my thing after that is a lot of what we were saying before with the other positions. Like you have your main three, you have, and like you said, all three are enigmas in a different sense. One we hope can stay clean. The other one is going to be a size concern. The other one's going to be some inconsistency. And then after that, you just kind of have like, who are the rest of you? Are any of you going to separate? And we put down names: Keandre Colburn from Texas, Keanu Benton from Wisconsin, Zach Pickens from South
Keanu Benton, I've
Carolina.
heard very, very good
Yeah,
things from.
I've heard about him
Very good
too.
things
I
about.
mean, you got Byron Young and DJ Dale, the Alabama pair, which is kind of rare to me to see, like not see Alabama guys not really going in the first round of like it being,
Well,
tackles.
from from what I hear about them, it's like they're guys that they're gonna come into your organization, they're gonna pay for 15 years. They're not gonna be the guys that you're gonna bang the doors down for, but they are just always gonna be right place, right time, in the right position. But they're never gonna wow you. And I'm like, sometimes that's a good. That's why those guys are
Yeah,
kept. But that's a good thing. Like if I'm going
yeah,
to the fourth round, and especially as the Jets, is like, look, I'm probably not gonna resign Rank. I gotta pay Quentin Williams 18-20 million. That's the guy that I want. Where like I can plug him in there. I don't have to worry about it. Like he's gonna
that's what
do
I'm
his
saying.
job. The run's gonna stop with them. Like they're gonna make the plays that allow Quentin to be special. They're gonna make the plays that allow JJ and Clemens to be special.
And
That's the guy
I
that I
don't,
want. That's who I
yeah,
want.
and I don't have to pay you $25 million a
Yeah.
season. I could pay you $2-3 million. You go in there and you do your job, and like you said, you find yourself with a 12, 13, 14 year NFL career, and maybe not take a Hall of Fame, but you're synonymous with a hardworking, solid defensive
Mm-hmm.
tackle. Like, and
And like that,
that's
those are the
fine.
guys
That's
that
what
you
I
win Super
want.
Bowls with.
Right.
Like those are the players you win Super Bowls with. So like you may have 2 or 3 championships, but you just never make over $10 million, and maybe that's fine. And those
I'm
are the
about to
guys that
say.
go on and are on NFL Network and all that other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like they
I'll
have a
say
long
if you
life in
have a,
football.
I was like, you have a 12, 13 year NFL career making, $5, $6 million per. You're still coming out over $50 million, and you come out with 2, 3 Super Bowl rings. What else can you really ask for in that?
Yeah.
After that, I got Dante Stills from West Virginia, Gervin Dexter from Florida, Nesta Jade Silvera out of Arizona State, who I've heard some things about, but like in the initial, I heard a lot about Nesta Jade, but nothing since. And then PJ Mustipher because I'm a Penn State fan and because he's another guy to me who is a nose guard. He played in the Shrine game, played pretty decently well, and people actually were saying him and it's funny he was playing nose guard for one team, and then his teammate Juice Scruggs was a starting center for Penn State, so they're kind of going against each other for a bit. But Mustipher actually made himself some money during the Shrine game. He's another one, but he's another one who's kind of like a nose guard. It's like where's your value start? So those are some of the guys I was thinking about. And the funny thing is, mentioning Mustipher, when I looked on NFL Network and everything, as far as like the combine grades, he was the worst graded one of all the D tackles. So like I don't know. I don't know if it comes to like a what is like again, are these guys gonna be any type of scheme versatile? And like I said, after those first three, who's the next guy? Another person actually left off the list was I think it's Jaquelin Roy from LSU.
Mm-hmm.
Um, another one I'm just kind of like, who comes next? Who's the next D tackle off the board? I
Right.
personally have I personally like Zach Pickens out of South Carolina, but I think he'll be like a third, fourth round pick. So,
Okay, June just dropped some names. Don't know who these guys are. I'm just gonna fire them off.
oh, he was tagging people in the
Oh,
podcast.
okay. I was just
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
okay. See, my biggest thing when it comes to D tackle for me, I think the all the guys we talked about, they're all enigmas. I think the biggest story for me is where does Brian Brzee go? Like, what is the value for a guy who before last year was probably the number two guy behind Jalen Carter? I think that's safe to say. You know, the guy goes through hell, in my opinion, in his personal life in the off season. Still shows up, still plays, not as productive, but who the hell could be given his situation? Um, Finishes off the year. I think he got hurt at the end of the year that cut his season short or something to that regard. So like, what is the injury? What does the body look like? That whole thing.
mm-hmm.
Because I think in the right environment where like he gets a fresh start, I think he can be special. And I think the difference maker with these D tackles and the thing that we're seeing now is you need your D tackle to not just be a stuffer, but you need a guy that can I have you in there on third downs? Can I get pass rush production from you?
3 down
I think
players.
that'll be what kind of separates or what divvies up the group because
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's why even Kalijah Cansey's in the conversation because as small as he is, the dude can pass rush. Like the dude can rush with the best of them.
Yeah,
And as small as
I've
he
seen some of his
is, like
highlights.
he's in the backfield like instantly, and he's so quick off the snap that it's like, you know, is it one? Is he below 6 feet? Is the real question. That is the first thing. And even if he's at 6 feet, right? He's still in a very small percentile of humans that have been productive at that level. How much do you value that pass rush? How much do you think that pass rush can translate? And then you got Brian
Mm-hmm.
Brzee, who has an element of pass rush to him. Like he's kind of that middle ground. Can Keanu Benton, I heard, is another guy that has a little bit of that pass rush to him. Like that's the only way I think you can probably divvy up these guys because they all kind of get washed together in like that middle day two, early day three kind of wash. So I think like that's where you'll really see a lot of these guys kind of go. And I think it's just based on what kind of guy you like, what kind of person these people are, and how they fit in your scheme. And
Yeah,
I guess
I did
pedigree
that.
to a degree, like, pedigree, competition, that whole stuff kind of factors in. But
So I think the last thing, I think that's pretty much it for the defensive tackles. The only other thing is the linebacker group, I should say. And yeah, the linebacker group is another interesting one.
yeah.
So as far as I've seen so far, and I know you're probably going to hear different, but the five I have right now are Simpson, Sanders, Campbell, Toto, and Henley. Those are the five I hear about the most,
Well,
at least in the
here's the
top five
thing.
linebackers.
Those are the guys that are real linebackers. Like the guys I hear most about Campbell and Toto are like linebackers. Like those are the guys
Yeah,
that you plug in the middle of your defense and you don't have to worry for the next 10 years. Like these guys just know how to play linebacker. You get
yeah,
guys like, I think even Drew Sanders kind of fits in there a little bit. Simpson just hasn't figured out how to play linebacker, but he's a stupid athlete. I think
hmm
Henley kind of fits into like that. He's a linebacker. The rest of these guys, you can't even like. There is such a hybrid kind of movement going on right now that the rest of the guys are you like. Do you play them as off ball linebackers? Do you play them as edges? Like that's why I kind of like that edge group and this group kind of they cross over so much that like you it's hard to say, like, am I getting a linebacker or am I getting an edge? Like, realistically, like it really just comes down to, like, where do these guys really fit? Like, are you going to run? Because no one think about it. No one runs base coverage anymore. Like, nobody runs base coverage. Like, you're not the first play of the game. You're not running. You're not trotting out a 4-3 or 3-4. Like, you're trotting out maybe a 4-2-5, a 4-1-6, like a three, like, weird. Like, everybody comes out in, like, these weird exotic schemes. So it's like these hybrids are good, but it's hard to rank them because you don't know what they're gonna be at the next level. You just don't know. That's why it's like you look at this linebacker group and it's like, I just got to see them work out. Like, I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. I
It
mean,
just kind of sucks because you're gonna see some guys that look bad because you have edges doing linebacker drills, and you're gonna see some edges that look weak because you got linebackers doing edge drills, because they don't even have them classified the right way in the NFL, or from the combine perspective. They have guys listed as whatever they want to list them as, and it doesn't make sense when everybody's a hybrid.
my thing is, I want to see who are going to be the next guys that are going to separate themselves from the rest. So, I mean, I put down some names: Noah Sewell, Demarion Overshone, Dorian Williams, Owen Papoi, Ivan Pace Jr., and Savasi Dennis. Just to name a few people. But just to go down, so we talked about this before we got on, but obviously we're talking about it here. But Noah Sewell is a very, very polarizing prospect, I guess you would say. So, and we were
It
looking at his
doesn't make
numbers
sense.
last year, and
It,
his main thing has to be consistency. It has to. You have to see what's going on with the guy because, like I said, he took a big step back in terms of numbers from 2021 to 2022. So, just for everybody who doesn't know, so Dennis, okay, so Dennis, he's the Eagles fan. So Sewell coming into this year was kind of like the consensus number one, number two linebacker coming out. So his numbers from 2021 2022, he went from 114 tackles to 56 tackles. He went from 8.5 tackles for loss down to 5.5 tackles for loss. And he went from 4 sacks down to 1.5 sacks. So what is the disconnect here is one of the biggest things. Like, maybe he might go to the Lions. He's not going first round, though. It's not going to happen.
no,
We're talking about this guy as a second, third, fourth round linebacker at this point, which is crazy to
I
say.
think it's safe to say second, third round, just because at the end of the day, he had that production at some point. So it's in him. He can do
Yes.
it. How do you tap into that? Like, it's there. You know he can be a very good starting caliber linebacker.
Yeah.
But the drop off is too scary to be like, I'm
It's
not taking.
just
Yeah, it's just
it's just what
I can't.
happened.
Yeah,
Like, that's the question. I'm like, what happened to go from 114 tackles to 56?
that
Like
is
we talked about it.
literally like you had a 50% drop in production. That is
Yeah.
insane, and that can't
To
just be
play it
like
safe last
everybody just
season.
figured you out.
Like, I get what you're like. I see what you're saying, Dennis. Like, try not to get injured, so they played safe the last season. Yeah, but like,
Then that makes me
you
question your mental.
can't.
Like
Yeah,
it makes me question your mental, right? Like, automatically, I don't want you on my team now because now you're gonna play
like, you
scared.
can't tap out like that. Like, and be like, well,
Yeah,
I'm just gonna
like,
be like, I'm the
if that's the case, you
number
should have
one
just came out
linebacker.
last year, or take the
Exactly.
year off. Like,
Something. It just
like,
doesn't.
don't
It
put that
doesn't.
on tape,
Either
bro.
way, it doesn't. It doesn't rub right with me that you're sitting up here going from 114 tackles, amazing production, to 56. Like, you can't take that much off that you're missing 50 tackles. Like, you can't
It
take
makes me
that much
think.
off of your team.
I don't even think it's the fact that he's missing 50 tackles. He's just not. He's not going for it. Like, he's just
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't mean it as in I'm just putting my head in there and missing. I just mean like I'm just gonna take 50 tackles off of my game. Like, I could have made these
like
tackles,
that.
but
That's
I'm
wild.
just like I don't know. You can look at Will Anderson, but Will Anderson, to me, that's
Will
different.
Ensign went from god tier to like high end, still highly productive, still a difference maker. It's just the fact that he had a god tier like season
Yeah.
before that. Like that's not the same.
And I mean, and you still had Bama still had like ballers on the front seven, so it
Yeah,
wasn't just
like
Will Anderson the
so
year
yeah,
before.
you could take he could take time off because everybody else gonna go off. Like you already know I could go off. Everybody else gonna go off. Oregon is not about that life. They not that team. Like you
No,
gotta be that dude. You gotta be him 20 like 25-12. Like when you
like
sleeping, you still gotta be him. You can't take that much time off.
the next guy I put up was DeMarvion Overshone. I love Overshone's game. He's like to me, he's kind of like not a tweet. I guess you say a tweener. He can
Yeah, he's a
play inside
tweener.
and outside to me, which I really like. He showed versatility. To me, he's outside linebacker edge type. Um, he had 96 tackles on the season, 10 for loss, 4 sacked, and 5 pass defended. So it shows some type of coverage ability as well as
Mm-hmm.
pass rushing, and he's a solid tackler. So I see him as somebody who the Giants or just in general could be go a second to third round pick. So I do like
Mm-hmm.
that kid. I like his game. Um, Dorian Williams, linebacker from Tulane, who lit up the NFL, who lit up the Street Senior Bowl, excuse me, and he showed, even though he came from a smaller school, he came from Tulane, he showed
He could
that,
ball. He could
yeah,
ball.
and I mean, on all parts of the game, he can get from the quarterback, he's a sure tackler, and he can cover. So he, to me, is potentially a day one starter. And I'm not saying he's going to go in the first round, but another one who I could
Probably
see being
won't,
a
but
second to third
you
round
know,
guy.
yeah.
I mean,
Like
the
again,
combine
to
will change
me,
anything.
I'll put it to you this way. I don't think there are linebackers to me anyway. Like this is one of those positions where it wouldn't shock me if there wasn't a first round guy. Like if no linebacker went in the first round. Like it wouldn't I wouldn't even bat an eye. Just be like, oh, okay. Makes sense.
Somebody's going to take Trenton Simpson. That's going to happen. I believe he's a first round guy. Somebody's going to take him, and I think it's just going to be.
I think the tools. I get it. I get it with the tools, but the fact that he still hasn't figured out how to play linebacker yet,
You know what? I
that
think it's going to
that
be.
drops him for me.
I think he's going to be like an Isaiah Simmons light. I think that's what he's going to be. I think he's going to be a piece you can come in and, all right, I'm playing. Not saying you're going to drop him to safety, but I can see him. Okay, you're playing inside here. You're playing outside. You're rushing. You're guarding a running back. You're guarding a tight end. Like I could see Trenton Simpson being just a piece. Like you're a great athlete that we could just take you and mold you to what we want.
So then that's my thing. Then it's like, who takes that shot? Because I normally in my brain I'm like, oh, the Bills. The Bills could use that, but their DC just took the year off. Like they're getting a new defensive coordinator now, and I'm like, what are the Bills without Leslie Frazier? Mm-mm.
And I
Now
mean,
you got to take that step back where it's like, who can realistically take the shot on a piece like that when those chess pieces are usually the DBs and the safeties. I think a lot more people are comfortable taking a shot like that on DBs and safeties than they are linebackers. That's
I
why I say
mean,
I wouldn't be surprised if he goes first. I could see it being in you guys' range, like 25-31
which is
or
like I said
32
before,
technically.
I'd be fine with. I'd be fine. Again, we haven't taken a linebacker since in the first since the '80s. And two, if like you just said, if anybody will take it, it'd be the Bills. And where's the Bills' assistant GM now? The Giants GM.
Yeah,
And Dable's over
yeah,
there. They're going to take some type of the same mentalities. So I
yeah.
could see us potentially taking them.
Well,
Uh,
two, you have to look at like who's you guys defensive coordinator. Like, how is that? Like, is he gonna?
Wink is
Is
there.
he? Can he be that? Can he be that piece in the Wink Martindale like defense?
I
I gotta look at it.
I also think a lot of people are falling in love with Jack Campbell now, and the kid's size is ridiculous. 6'5" linebacker. Like,
He
bring him
he's
on.
he's a line like he's just he's not Luke Kuechly, but he's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
closest thing I can look at and be like Luke. Like he's that
Yo,
in the middle. He's always solid. He's super smart. He's super
these
consistent.
Iowa linebackers are good, man. Like
Like
they're good. Like look at Josie Jewell. I love Josie
yeah,
Jewell coming out the draft,
I
and
think
he's
we
tearing it
might
up for the
have to
Broncos.
start paying attention to Iowa more, just because like the last couple of guys they kind of put out. It's like, have we been sleeping on
No,
Iowa?
I trust me. Being a Penn State fan, I watch Iowa. They got some players over there, man. Dennis, we're always down to collaborate. So for everybody that's watching, we're gonna be doing a podcast pretty much every night this week. We're gonna try to stay ahead of each day of the combine. So tonight we're doing D line and linebackers. Tomorrow we'll be doing a quick overview of what we saw, and then a preview to next day, and so on and so forth till the combine is
Yeah.
over. So we will be live every night pretty much this week until the combine is over, pre and post combine. But we are always down to collaborate. So feel free to message me or whatever else on yeah, feel free to message me, message June. June will hop on. He's been on the show a couple times. Dennis, message us, request me on Facebook. We'll talk. If you guys want to be on the show, hop on tomorrow. So we're always down to get take other people's
Opinion.
viewpoints and everything. Yeah. So who was I talking about? Oh, Dorian Williams. Just for numbers, Dorian Williams. He's got another kid filled stat category. 126 total tackles, 8.5 tackles for loss, 5 sacks, 2 interceptions, 8 passes defended, which I really love. Shows coverage skills, and 2 forced fumbles. That's a guy. Listen, if the another person, if the Giants won't go like a Jack Campbell, because I mean, when I look at the Bills, people were like, people love Tremaine Edmonds. The kid's huge. He's like 6'4", 6'5". Now, I mean, Giants fans have been saying, "Yo, go sign Tremaine Edmonds." And I'm like, that'd be cool, but when you can go draft a linebacker that's just as big as the dude, like, and save yourself $40 to $50 million, why not do it? But
All I'm saying is y'all gonna have to jump us first.
oh my god, no, I'm talking about in the first round. You're not taking Jack Campbell in the
Oh,
first round.
woo, that's bold. That that
It
is that
is,
is that is
it
that
is,
is bold.
it is.
That
But
is
if you
bold.
like the guy, then go get him.
I mean, I just don't. I don't think you have to get him in the first to get him. I think he'll probably be a guy to go middle second, late second. I don't. I could
I
see
think
him
he's gonna go.
earliest. I could see him going is like early day two.
I see him going early second. I see him going early second, and I
So
think
like again, if you're like a guy, if you're a team that's gonna like, oh, I'm gonna trade back into the first because I want to get his 5th year option. I really like him that much. Sure, because I'm sure Kansas City would not mind getting more draft picks. I'm sure
no, not at all.
one of those other
Not at
teams
all.
would not mind getting more draft picks. At this point, I'm sure the Bills wouldn't mind getting more draft picks. So
No, of course not. June Bobby Wagner is better than Tremaine Edmonds. I will take that. The only thing is Bobby Wagner is also older by about almost 10 years. I want to say at this point. I want to
right,
say 7 to 10 years. But that being said, Bobby Wagner to me is still top three, if not the best middle linebacker in the game. I also put him at top three, if nothing else. That's another debate to be had, but
no comment,
I
no
he,
comment.
the man's a 9 year all pro. He's an all pro every year he's been in the league.
I don't really think he was an All Pro this year. I think his name warrants the All Pro. Um,
At a certain point, I can see it,
his
but
reputation and his name, not necessarily his play, warranted the All Pro. I'll give you like yes, he's a 9 year All Pro, but he's also in a position where generally guys are have become nameless just because of the way the game is now played, where your middle linebacker is yes, he's a quarterback of your defense, but he's not like you don't have your Luke Kinkleys, you don't have those big names at middle linebacker anymore. Where like freaking Jets fans damn near trash CJ Mosley up until like the middle of the season, and he made a Pro Bowl. You know what I'm saying? Like now all of a sudden,
and
oh,
Pro
I
Bowl to
believed
me is like
in
a
CJ Mosley the whole time. I'm like, we was watching the same game. No, y'all wasn't, because I wasn't. I was getting frustrated with CJ sometimes when he
the
played
Pro Bowl to
relatively.
me is just the Pro Bowl to me
It's a
is such a big
joke. It's the
asterisk
same
now.
thing as
It's
the
a
All Star
joke.
game in
It's
the
a
NBA.
joke
It's a
now.
joke. I don't take it seriously.
It's the Pro Bowl is a joke now. Like, I hate it because the Pro Bowl, like, nobody wants you to go out and kill each other in the Pro Bowl game. I get it, but at the same time,
I
like,
don't
the
think
Pro
All
Bowl
Star.
voting,
I think we're at the place now where All Star games in professional sports outside of like baseball are a showcase where the guys go out and have fun, and it's not necessarily for the fans. And fans need to understand this. You
like,
get your favorite guy in the Pro Bowl. That's cool. That's great. That's fine. You watch the skill stuff. That's cool. That's great. That's fine. But when you're watching the game, don't expect to see a football game. Don't expect to see a real basketball game. Like, stop it. You're not going to see it. You're going to see what you
Like I
see
wasn't
on the
like
streets, in the playground, everybody chilling, everybody laughing, everybody kikiing. Because at the end of the day, these dudes are on vacation.
like
They're done.
I
They're
didn't
not working
mind
no more.
I didn't mind the flag football. I didn't mind that they went out and just had fun. I don't mind that at all. What I hate is the process of and like, oh, who's a Pro Bowl alternate? Who's this? And who's that?
Yeah, that's
How is
stupid.
Tyler Huntley make a Pro Bowl?
I
Like that's what kills me. When like, yo, statistically, just go down the list. Like, okay, this
I don't
guy
know how
didn't
he
make
made it
it.
over Justin
This guy
Herbert.
didn't make it. Like, how do you name Tyler Huntley a Pro Bowl alternate and make him and then eventually he makes the Pro Bowl team? Like, he didn't throw a touchdown pass the entire time he played, or he had maybe one. I think he had like one touchdown and like three
Honestly,
interceptions.
the fact that you put him in over Brock Purdy is kind of laughable, and
And
that's saying everything I need to know.
I mean, look, Brock was playing the NFC Championship. He got hurt. Cool, I get it. He wasn't able to play anyway. But I, like, there's so many other people that you could have put in behind this guy. And that's the fact that's the reason that the NFL to me just became a joke with Pro Bowl. Like the NBA
Yeah, that
votes, I
that's why
get it.
I don't pay attention to the All Star stuff. Like being somebody to be like, oh, I'm a Pro Bowler, I'm a All Star, and like that stuff doesn't mean anything to me. Are you All Pro? Are you All NBA? That's all I care about.
Right.
And like
The
even the
Pro
top
Bowl, it
100
used to
list to me
be
means more than that. If you did you make the top, did
right,
you make the players top 100 list?
right.
That's what that
And
means to
that's
me.
voted on by the players. Like that's not
Yeah.
like, oh, it's
Now,
not
mind
like
you,
this
there's politics in that too, and I get that, but
yeah.
I
But
also I trust the player's opinion who's got to line up against these dudes
that's
versus
literally
fans who just,
exactly.
oh, he's
That's
on my
like a
team, I'm gonna vote for him.
that's like the Eagles are sitting here like, yeah, we hate the Cowboys, but that dude's a baller. Like
Yeah.
we hate I'm Darius Slay. I hate CD Lamb, but he's a baller at receiver. I gotta give him his credit. Like that I respect more than like the NFL when it was back in the day. You could be like, yo, this guy was a 10-time Pro Bowl, like, oh, it's Hall of Famer. And now you sit up here and like the fact that people again, you can Google Tyler Huntley and say like 1-time Pro Bowl. Okay, Pro Bowl's a joke. Like, let's
It is
finish
what it
this up.
is.
Finish up. We're almost done. We got three linebackers left. We got Owen Pepo. I don't know how to say him. Pepoe. I don't know how to say his last name. Owen Pepo. He's a linebacker from Auburn. Um, from what I know from the guy, from watching the guy play, I'm not gonna say I'm an Auburn fan, but I do like Auburn. I watched them when Cam was there. I liked them there. Ronnie Brown and Cadillac Williams back in the day. It's a solid team. So I do watch them when I see them. Uh, for me, he's known as a thumper. I don't know if he could be exactly a 2-down linebacker or 3-down linebacker. I see him as a 2-down backer. My question on him is coverage ability, and that really is part of the game today. You have to be able to do it all as a linebacker. I feel like you need to be able to get after the quarterback. You need to be able to read and react. You need to be able to, cover and be a shirt tackler. So to me, I feel like he's almost more of a 2-down guy. He had
Hmm.
91 tackles and two sacks and interception this year. Um, Ivan Pace Jr. is another guy that I love out of Cincinnati. Cincinnati's been putting out some pieces lately, which
Hmm.
I really enjoy watching their tape. Um, a little undersized, but him and the last guy we're going to mention both a little undersized. But he was a leader of that Cincinnati defense. Even just like you said, on tape or on paper, he's 6 feet tall. We'll see what he actually measures in as. But at 6 feet tall, he had a monster year, 137 tackles, 10 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, and he was a unanimous All American this year. And the last guy I will mention is Savasier Dennis. He's a linebacker from Pittsburgh. Another one, a little undersized. I believe he's about 6'6'1", but he was another one who had a great year for Pittsburgh on that defense. He had 94 tackles, 12 of them for loss, 7 sacks, 4 passes defended, 1 interception, and 2 forced fumbles. So those are my last three guys I have notes on that I'm really interested to see, and I
All that
want to see
sounds to
where they're going
me
to fall.
is honestly all it sounds to me is like those undersized guys are just going to be those hybrids that they'll talk about probably moving to safety or changing them to strong safety or using them as like one of in the special packages where you have like the one true linebacker in the middle and you have this other guy that's just kind of there that kind of plays like that pseudo strong safety kind of role. Like I don't really know what to call those guys, but like those are like the package guys, which is again you draft those guys 5, 6 round, fifth, 6th round. If they come in, they start for you, depending on what your packages are, then you know they're productive. Like they're just football players who produce. So you know you can't have enough of those guys, honestly.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And we'll wrap it up here. But like I said, we're gonna get into it tomorrow. I'm gonna be trying to rush home as fast as possible to get home from work and watch what I can of these workouts. And
I mean, luckily, I took tomorrow off just because I have other things I need to take care of, personally. So I'm not even working tomorrow, so I can. I'm locked in. Like I'm just. That's all I'm watching tomorrow.
yeah, you'll have to feed me information. You have to keep me updated on what goes on at the combine.
Yeah,
Um, June and Dennis, if you guys are still there, like I said, send me a friend request. We'll talk. If you guys want, we can get on the show tomorrow. We can talk about what we watched in the first day of the combine. We'd love to collaborate and work with anybody that wants to talk football. So, for looking forward to tomorrow. Really am. Two major groups that I'm really looking forward to: D line and linebacker. A lot of talent to be had. A lot of talent that can be, I think, middle round guys that can also come in and be an immediate impact, not only on defense but special teams and everything to start. So, yeah,
yeah.
June, definitely hit me up. Try to get you on. We'll get you on the show if you're available tomorrow. That'd be awesome. But everybody else, if you have nothing else, Jay, I think we're done here.
But
All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please tune in tomorrow. Like I said, we'll be covering pre and post of every day of the combine, dropping our thoughts, doing some previews. I'm gonna start taking some notes down for the next couple of groups. And yeah, till tomorrow. Everybody have a good night.